We don't like the fence. You probably would like this. Seems like you've got
We have 5 people watching now.
What's that?
We have 5 people watching on my YouTube channel here.
Oh. Me and technology don't get along very well.
Oh, me either. You think this is easy to figure out? Are you kidding me? This has been years of effort. Being yelled at by my kids over and over again.
That's who usually I have to ask you. How the hell do I do this?
Yeah, exactly. What am I doing wrong? Can you fix this? Yes.
Monday, May 9th, 2022 Orono City Council meeting. Note all council members are present. It's at Council Member Crosby tonight. We always start with the Pledge of Allegiance, so I invite you to stand please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you for that. The next is the approval of the agenda. Before we get to that, I just want to point out to everybody that we have changed the structure a little bit of our agenda tonight and moving forward, where we had some complaints that the people who are getting all their variances that have spent months of time and thousands of dollars to kind of get through the process, through the planning commission and everything else. We're a little upset that they were waiting through all the public comment period and other stuff. So we've decided that they are right, and we're going to put them first in line. Just the people who are getting variances that need to get their decisions made, and then after that, we will be doing public comments and then the rest of the agenda at that point. So with that said, I'd like to take a stab at the consent agenda tonight.
I can do that. I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda items number 1 through 6. Delete item number 7 from the meeting tonight. Remove number 8 from the consent and put it on down below. Some public interest in that one. And then remove items number 9 and 10. I'm sorry. Leave those on there, and then also add in zoning reports 11 through 13.
Any other thoughts down here? Okay, I'll go over the list, and if there's any one of these items that are also on the list that you want to take off public comment, then come up and just raise your hand and we'll take it off consent. Yeah?
Number 10, please.
Okay. Okay, so what we've got on consent tonight is item 1, which is city council meeting minutes of April 25th. Number 2, council work session minutes of April 25th. 3, claims and bills. Number 4, approval to hire a part-time officer. Number 5, the 2022 sanitary sewer rehabilitation award 22-14. Number 6 is appointment of 2022 seasonal employees B6. Number 7, we are taking off the agenda for another time, another day. Number 8, we're going to remove consent and move down to the city administrator report. Number 9 will stay, and that's the approval of lake access markings. Number 10 will come off, and that'll also go down to the city administrator engineer report, public works facility bids. And then also added to the consent agenda will be number 11, which is LA 21-51. Which is Robert Linden Construction, 1074 Loma Linda Lane Avenue setback variances. Number 12 is LA 22-14, Eric Zender, 940 North Arm Drive variance, resolution 7264. And number 13 is LA 21-76, Yardscapes Inc., Lincoln Danforth, 1720 Bones Point Road variance, resolution number 7265. Is there any other of those items that anybody would like to have been taken off the consent list tonight? Okay, seeing no objections, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilmember Seals. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, with that, before public comments, we'll take a 3-minute recess, so everybody who's here that wants to leave from all those consent items can leave. So we'll take a 3-minute recess. You can have a chance to walk.
Thought the meeting just started. We already got to have a recess?
They only took out.
looks like everybody has left, I think, that wants to leave from the variance item, so we will now get to public comment, where again, you have 3 minutes time. Our city administrator will put on the 3-minute clock up there, so you have 3 minutes to speak. If there's, when you're done with 3 minutes, we'll ask you to sit down, and the mic will be muted until the next person comes up. So does anybody like to come up and talk in public comments? And you can state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, Brad Erickson, 2485 Independence Road in Independence. I was here approximately a month ago and I got cut off. I guess I didn't get to explain myself. So today I'm here. I think a lot of things have happened in the last month. I sent out some emails today. I don't think it's any secret about the videos and such that were sent to my family by the mayor here himself. And I'm here to ask you, Mr. Walsh, to step down from your post. Do the only honorable thing that you have left to do before you are removed. That's what I meant last time. I never would stoop to a level to suggest any physical violence. I think you guys know who I am. I think you know what I've been through, and I think you know where I'm going with this. So I would respectfully ask you, I've got a lot of time left, to step down. And I would respectfully ask the rest of the council to help in that process. Whether that means censuring him out of the gate here with what we know already, or if that means voting. I don't know what that looks like. But starting tomorrow, as I promised 30 days ago, approximately, you owe me, and you will pay it, okay? Make no mistake about it when I tell you this. You will not be the mayor of this town by the time this is over. So you can do it quickly and quietly, or we can do it very publicly and very messy. I hope someone's taking very good notes. Thank you for your time.
Okay, is there anybody else who would like to come up tonight for public comments?
I would.
You state your name and address for the record, thanks.
Hi, Tiffany Ferrer, 98 Heritage Lane. I am here as an Orono resident, not an Independence resident. And I'd like to thank you guys for all the hard work you do and all the things you're doing to make the city better. And I appreciate each and every one of you, and I am happy that you're here. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else tonight that would like to come up for public comment? You can state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Barbara Schmidt. I live at 50 Landmark Drive in Orono. I just had some basic questions about the Public Works building. There's like 4 questions. I just was wondering if you guys could answer them later or whenever. I don't understand.
Well, that was pulled out. The
Yeah.
Public Works was pulled out, so you'll have that opportunity.
Well, I was told that maybe we wouldn't, so I should.
We'll take public comment during that item.
You will?
You'll have 3 minutes during that if you want to
Okay,
talk.
I just wanted to ask some questions.
Okay, no problem.
That's fine, thank you.
Is there any other person that would like to come up and public comments? You can state your name and address for the record.
Hello, I'm Matthew Leach. I live at 920 Dakota Avenue, and I would like the City Council to consider changing the driveways section of the City Code, section 18-136 specifically. Right now, it just allows for one curb cut or one approach. My street that I live on is pretty narrow with a pretty small cul-de-sac, and I'm doing a build with coordinating right now. We'd like to do 2 curb cuts so I can have visitors just do a turnaround in my front yard basically instead of the street. You know, there's a lot of kids in my neighborhood, and based on where I had to put my house, there's not a lot of room to turn around in my driveway, so it's going to be visitors backing out of there. And my neighbors actually have 2 curb cuts, and they've got 5 kids. Works out really well for them when they have grandparents over backing out. So I'd like to have you guys considered that? I talked to Jeremy Barnhart at the city, and he mentioned that a lot of the city staff feel like that there could be a change, and agree with that as well. So, kind of the reasons, it's tight road, tight cul-de-sac. We even have the Epleys, Todd and Becca, they live on Highway 6. They actually have their neighbors, or their visitors park on our street and then walk through our backyard to get to their house, just on a safety standpoint. So, and Jeremy mentioned that you guys may give some guidance to the city to look in to changing that. Again, I've noticed some homes in Orono do have the 2 curb cuts with the turnaround in the front yard. Some other issues is my visitors are not really looking where to park, so a lot of times they put a tire on one of the neighbors' houses. Most of my neighbors are fine with that. Some are quite angry when my guests leave tire tracks on their yard. And there's no gutter really, or there's no curb in my neighborhood. It's just asphalt right to grass. So it's pretty easy to drop a wheel on the neighbor's front yard. So there again is another reason why having a turnaround and I can park more guests in basically my front yard. So, and I think I emailed everyone on the council Friday with kind of my reasoning. And I don't know if you guys would be able to give your thoughts on possibly making that change tonight, or if it's just a one-way street here.
Well, we'll take, we'll definitely talk to Jeremy.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know if I copied you, but I think I forwarded it, did I forward it to you? Yes. So I definitely think we should look into it. I just don't know enough about.
Yeah, and then again, so there was 2 curb cuts allowed at some point in time, and I don't know when that change occurred in the history of the city, so.
Yeah, we definitely can.
We can refer that to the code review committee, put that on the agenda and let it work its way through.
Yep. So we do a code review committee that, which Jeremy is part of, so.
Okay, do you know what kind of timeline that would?
Jeremy can follow up with you.
Sure. I'll get it. Okay, no, that sounds great. Well, thank you so much for your time.
No, thanks for the email.
Does everybody else like to come up tonight for public comment? State your name and address, Richie Anderson.
Richie Anderson, 3205 Crystal Bay Road. And as you recall, a while back, Farniak asked if, Farniak and I were talking about having a life jacket in each vehicle, and they're hanging behind so they can go out with the water patrol, who is, paramount on, my mind all the time as far as helping them out and stuff like that on the lake. Obviously, we have a marina, and there's all the other marinas, and a bunch of other folks have contributed to having 2 dedicated officers on the lake. So Corey said, well, it'd be nice if we could jump on the boat, the water patrol wouldn't have to find a life jacket, so we donated those. Now, so then DJ and I were talking, and that thing that you're sending them out to Big Island on is marginal. They might not make it back by this time. So,
Are you talking about the pontoon?
Yeah.
Is it a little rough?
I don't know. So anyway, I'd like to accept this donation of 4 more self-inflating Mustang survival life jackets. So if you would just accept that as a donation, I would throw them back on DJ's lap. Okay. And just as an extra comment, obviously, I have a marina. I've been, running the marinas now since 1976 in Orono. I've had 5 different marinas. We've worked through quite a few guys. I started before Gaffron, and I outlived him, and always had a great working relationship with Lyle and Mike also. And the new group that's here is, very helpful. Jeremy and Adam, DJ's my man. But so I just want to say that I've been here a long time, and I think you're making tremendous progress in being proactive. I look at this place you guys put up over here for the housing. I was here when it sat through that. That's unbelievably cool. So anyway, Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Richie.
Can I make a motion then? Make a motion to accept a donation from Richie Anderson and North Shore Marina for the life jackets for Public Works.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Thank you, Richie.
Thank you, Richie.
Richie, I do think, I don't know if you heard enough, but you are, there's a select group of residents, when they hear a problem, they just solve it, so we appreciate you just stepping up and figuring it out, so, thank you.
Well, we're taking donations for the pontoon boat.
Okay. Did he put you up for that too? He might have, just because the floor is a little crickety, it's fine, he's got a life jacket on.
I'll start that.
All right, is there anybody else who'd like to come up for public comment tonight? Seeing none, I will close the public comment, and we'll take it to our finance report for Ron for our first quarter financial report.
Okay, thank you, Mayor, and I see the report is up on the big screen. So this is the first report, my least favorite of the year because there's really small amounts of activity. So the numbers are pretty basic. I'd like to remind you they're unadjusted in that we don't go through and try to find everything that was paid after March 31st and apply it to the month, but they should be relatively accurate as far as that. We did go through and back up some payroll because running it when you did, we had a couple of May payrolls May payrolls back that out. But that's about as far as the adjustments go. So if we go to the next slide, Adam. This would be revenues. We're at 14.37% of revenues for the first quarter. Last year we were at 16.48. It's pretty common for us to be at these low numbers. A big reason is that the first tax settlement is not received until about 5 more weeks. So we have zero tax levy, and you can see that's a rather large portion of our budget at 50%. So if you have zero for 50% of your revenue budget, you won't look very well, if you say we should be at 25, because it's not. It doesn't come in all even throughout the year. There's a graph on the next slide that sort of shows that. You can see for the last 5 years, we're right in the same range as we were in the lower left-hand corner. And each of the 4 previous years, we ended up just over 100% for revenues. And I think we should probably end up at 100% or maybe a little higher than that again this year. So if we look at the next slide. Expenditures, we're at 22% of the budget. Last year we were at 21.89%. So we're about 1% higher, but that can be as simple as last year the report was given 2 weeks earlier. So we have another week of AP in there, of which a lot of that would have been, would have been added to the totals. Mayor, I'll just highlight the 4 in yellow. Mayor Council at almost 42% of budget. That has a lot to do with memberships. We will be at budget at Mayor Council at the end of the year. Finance Department, we're running a little higher than 25%. Part of that is we just paid for some training for a payroll person. So there was more spent on training for that payroll than budget in an average year for payroll staff or for staff. Central services are 32%. That's another one that we're perfectly fine at 32% at this point of the year. There's memberships that get paid out of there. There's high heating costs that get paid out of there during the winter. So I'm not worried about that one. And then the only other one down there is Public Works is at 31%. That's again, I think there was some road salt we just bought. That's $20,000. I think we budget $30,000 in that line item for that year. So that's once again, it's not. Our expenditures aren't nice and level throughout the year. They go up and down depending on the season. So Public Works will probably be just fine. And if you look at the lines between Public Works and the Public Works Spring Park, there's still some wages that should be charged to the Spring Park. Realize that no, they weren't being allocated. So we fixed that out, especially with the new payroll system. We went through all those allocations. So we'll do a journal entry later in the year, but that department will probably be just fine. And so that's how we get to 22.84%. And that's a number that's right where I'd like to be this time of year. This is our top vendors for the city of Orono. Some of these names are pretty familiar. On Trust Services, almost $1 million, that's our outstanding debt that we make payments on in February. Some of the other big ones, public employees retirement, a lot of that, about half of that is city money and half of that is money withheld from employees' paychecks. The one big one that we all see all the time, Metropolitan Council Waste Services, that's what we've paid so far. That's actually 4 months. This is truly not adjusted in this, the date of the check, so we've actually paid for 4 months, but we pay over $50,000 a month to the Met Council for sewer. It's by far our biggest expense in the sewer department. And otherwise, no benefits, that's health insurance. PEEP is also health insurance, those two. They should be combined. We'll merge those two vendors. Somehow we ended up paying two different vendors on them. City of Long Lake Fiber, $120,000, and liability insurance, $120,000, $106,000 for the architecture in the new building. So those are the biggest ones. And there's one more slide on them. By the time we get to the bottom of that one, that's a refund of a security deposit on a development project, $36,000. But if you take those 20 vendors right there, that's like $2.6 million, and that's about 75% of accounts payable checks we issue. So just on those top 20 vendors account for 75% of our expenditures. And so that's it for vendors. This is part of our investment policy. I let you know about new investments purchased in the quarter. And you can see there's actually 5 of them. I think in the council packet there was only listed 4. I missed that bottom one that we had bought right at the end, almost at the end of March. But you can see the top one, Federal Home Loan Banks, that was bought in January, 0.75% rate for a 4-year. Federal Home Loan Banks in March, 1.25%, and it's only 3 years. So I like that because it sort of shows, you've heard about interest rates increasing. If you watch the news, well, that's a graphic display of it. One other thing to add to that is not included, the investments I listed in the memo show $13 million or $14 million in overall investments. That does not include the money for the bonds that we sold for the new public works building. Those are invested in a separate account. We need to keep that interest separate from other city interest. But those are actually earning, most of that money right now is earning just over 2% interest. Once again, invested it just last week. And our true interest rate on those are 1.96. So we're actually earning a little bit more interest on them than we're paying. Unfortunately, if we earn extra, we can't keep it. The IRS makes us give it to them because the tax exempt bonds. So at least we can feel comfortable that as the money sitting in the bank and maybe being delayed now in use, we're actually making a little more in interest than we're paying. So that's it for the financial report part of it. If anyone has any questions on that.
You got a question, Richie?
Yeah, this chart right here.
Richard, come up here.
Oh, sorry. I'm asking this question just for my knowledge. What percentage of these numbers of the expense side of our expenses, what percentage is the money that you have tied up for a period of time? Is it 30%? 35?
Well, most of our money at any given time is invested somewhere.
So this is, you can get a hold of this.
Right.
Okay.
Like some of these, the longest one up there was bought in March. It was 5 years at 2.25%. We have a lot of investments maturing throughout any 1 year. About
Because this just shows you what he just bought in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Because there's stuff that from the quarter before and then the quarter before that, so they're all invested.
Yeah, I just wondering, yeah, I hear you. So I'm going through this gymnastics as your rep for the LMCD, and, the auditor's suggesting we should have 30 to 50% reserves for our expenditures, which I'm sure the audit, whoever does your audit, is told you the same thing.
We're required to have, I think at least, was it 40 or 50?
Our fund balance policy, I believe, is, we're required to have at least 45, and at the most, we can have 55.
Yeah, gotcha.
And it's the state auditor that sort of recommends.
Yes, sorry, take your time, I just was curious, thank you.
No, you have asked more questions than entry words in anyway.
I think he's excited, just a touch.
They don't let me out much.
Oh, this is true. So, not to, it doesn't have to do with the taxes that the city of Orono has, but what I'm wondering, and maybe we probably asked this, but if we've asked it, we should ask it again. Obviously, most people know that our Turbine County taxes went through the roof, right? Lots of questions on why, and then what are they gonna do with those funds? Because we didn't have any control over those increases. Do we have the increases we just saw? You're gonna find like.
So I was just saying, Hennepin County hasn't set new taxes yet.
Yeah,
I think you're referring to
set their budget, that's to
assessments.
set their budget
No,
first.
they've done the assessments though,
They've done the
right?
assessments, yes.
So I think my question to you is, if those assessments are, I mean, they're not gonna roll them back, right? Like that's.
Well, they're not gonna roll them back, but how that works is they set their budget, and if their budget is a 3% increase,
Mhm.
then you might have a 20% increase in your house, but you still only pay a 3% increase in your taxes.
Okay.
So it all depends on their budget, and I know when we did talk to our Chris Latondra, I don't know if I can get his name,
Yeah, that's it.
he committed to saying that he was only gonna be looking for a 3.5% increase for their
Okay.
budget because of salaries and wages, just all the things that they have from an inflationary standpoint. So then what would happen is the mill rate, if the mill rate would by state statute come down to meet that number. So it wouldn't be, they're not gonna automatically pay 20%.
I think that's all fine and dandy, but when a resident gets that assessment in the mail,
Shocking.
it's shocking, and I feel like they need to kind of come up to the podium and
Well, I think we
explain
have,
themselves a little bit.
I think we have our county commissioner coming here, he's coming in June.
Okay.
He's gonna come in June to talk about it, to help explain what's going on in the budget process. I think.
Okay. Yeah, and I understand, and that makes sense, but I think, I mean, myself too, when I saw that, I was like, are you kidding me?
It was shocking, I
Like-
see.
So, that's good to hear. So, you're up to the ground, you know.
Got a couple more slides ahead and go forward. This is the building permit revenue, it's the normal, we do this every month, this is through April. You can see the purple, last couple months has been a little less, and we're lagging a little behind last year. There's still projects out there in that we're expecting to come and get a lot of permits for, or some permits for. But you can see right now, we're at 28% of the budget for the year, and roughly if everything was even, we're 33% of the way through the year. So the last couple meetings, when we presented this, I said, well, I'm not worried, it's normal, and now I'd feel better if I saw a big jump in May.
Well, that's Jeremy to say how much, what do we have in the pipeline coming through, right? You see all the applications.
Yeah, we have some coming.
And then, speaking of Jeremy, the next slide is actually the information provided by Jeremy. It's just sort of showing what we've done for building permits. And you can see that, we're not really that far behind the number of permits. If you look at the total permits, we're actually ahead of the last 2 years of permits. But, the values have been less if you look at the values of the new home permits. So, and value drives the fee on the permit, so that's why. Number of permits are important because they do represent revenue, they represent the workload for the planning and zoning department, but the value of the permits can impact permit revenue far greater than the actual number of permits too. So, but yeah, this is, like I said, this is provided by Jeremy, so I think it's nice to see the dollars and the number of permits next to each other. And that is it for the building permits.
All right, any other questions for that? All right, thanks. All right, that'll bring us to our community development report number 15, which is LA 22-12, Stonewood LLC 2987, and 3005 Casco Point Road, PID 2117, 23, 34, 27, sketch. No. That's yours?
It is.
Okay.
Thank you. This application is a sketch plan in order to create an additional lakeshore lot from the existing. The applicant is proposing to replat all 3 lots in the Hartselle addition in order to create an additional lakeshore lot. No new lots will be created. The LR1C district dimensional minimums are a ½ acre and 100 feet in width. For non-lakeshore properties, the width is measured at the 30-foot front building setback. For lakeshore properties, the width is measured both at the ordinary high water level and at the 75-foot setback. In April, the Planning Commission discussed the sketch plan, and although no public hearing was held, excuse me, members of the public provided comment. The comments centered around existing drainage concerns on Casco Point Road and house locations on the properties. Submitted neighbor comments are included in your packets. Since the Planning Commission's review of the application, the applicant's surveyor has reanalyzed the existing property dimensions and has determined that lot 2, the middle lot, is 97 feet wide at the 75-foot setback where 100 feet is required and is currently non-conforming. The applicant is requesting informal feedback on the proposal to move the lot lines in order to create the 3rd lakeshore lot. Their proposal reflects movement of the shared lot lines on all 3 properties. As a result, the existing lot 3, the southern lot, 3005 Casco Point Road, will become the non-conforming lot, where currently lot 2, the middle lot, is defined or is identified as non-conforming. Lot 3 is proposed to be 65 feet wide at the OHW and 75 feet wide at the 75-foot setback where 100 feet is required. As proposed, each lot is shown to have a conforming building envelope. If positive feedback is provided by the council tonight on the proposal, the applicant intends to proceed with their preliminary plat application. Initially, staff did not support the proposal as there were no identified practical difficulties supporting the creation of the non-conforming lot where 3 conforming lots existed. The new information regarding the existing non-conformity of lot 2 changes the analysis. While there are 2 conforming and 1 non-conforming lots now, at the conclusion of the process, there would be 2 conforming and 1 non-conforming lots. The non-conforming status is proposed to change from 1 lot, lot 2, to lot 3. Tonight, the council should discuss this proposal and provide direction to the applicant regarding the plat. I can answer questions. I have aerial photos, and the applicant is here.
Any questions for staff? The applicant here like to come up and talk about the project?
I'm Sven Gustafson with Snowwood, 153 Lake Street East.
I'm Michael Gorman. I'm currently a resident of Edina, one of the property owners of this block. And I'm Chris. I'm from Reading Prairie currently, but looking forward to coming
out. So I included a fairly lengthy breakdown of our thoughts on the property. And Melanie, can you put up the triangle? Because I think that tells the best story of what we're asking for here. With the red triangle being the strange piece of property here that is causing us to want to rearrange the property lines. As Melanie mentioned, all 3 of these lots are buildable, but the tennis court lot on the north has the piece of property behind it, lakeside, that prohibits its access from the lake. It also creates a pretty strange configuration with the neighbor owning a structure and really all the use of that property that's behind their home. As Melanie said, we have 3 buildable lots, 2 of them conforming, 1 of them non-conforming currently, and that's where we intend to end up. I also did a pretty extensive analysis of the size of the homes, both the widths as well as all the area of the lots up and down. And what we're requesting is very much in character with everything up and down the street. Melanie, if you have that, I can't remember what it's called now. That's the lot analysis, maybe it was PDF showing 15 homes in each direction. This one? That one there. Thank you. 2 of the 3 lots that we're proposing are wider than 75% of these adjacent 30 homes, 15 in each direction. 75% of the lots in the red zone are non-conforming in one way or another, and only 8 of these 30 lots are conforming in width and area. So like I said, we feel that what we're asking for is very much in character with the rest of the neighborhood, and we're looking for some feedback on what we want.
All right, thanks. Anybody else in the public like to come up and have an opinion in this matter? You can state your name and address for the record.
Hello again.
Yes.
I'm Martinson, resident on Castle Point Road.
Across the street, right?
I'm right across the street. My biggest concern, of course, is the drainage issue. So you're going to go probably from 1 house to 3 houses. And that'll be 2 more houses draining water down the road into the street, across the road to our properties. I would like to make a suggestion that in their proposal, they put in a rain garden to collect the water off of those properties so that it doesn't drain across the street into our properties. And I think it might be doable. Now, in the notes that I read, you were saying that the tennis court drained across the street. Actually, it didn't, and I don't know why, because there's kind of a berm between the tennis court and the road. So the water basically must stay on the west side of the road. What is draining, of course, is the Hartzell driveway down the road into our property. Well, if you put in 2 more houses, you're going to have probably all 3 concrete driveways that will drain down the road into our properties across the street. And we're already being flooded. You know, we had about 1 inch of rain. I don't know, that's what my rain gauge said the other day. And my backyard was flooded from just 1 inch of rain. So we really need to somehow address the water that's swamping us across the street, some way or another. So I'm open to any kind of suggestions that might help with that problem. Otherwise, we're going to get flooded out.
I'd like to try to solve those problems too.
Thank you.
Anybody else who would like to come up and talk about this item? Okay, seeing none, bring it back to the council. And I'll look at Matt and say, Matt, have you ever seen anything like this before?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard anything like this. We've ever had 3 lots next door to each other.
Yeah, so I think for me, that's the problem. It's the creation of a non-conforming lot. I understand the argument that one of them's already non-conforming, but creating a non-conforming and a new process is not something that we've supported and had those before. And just had one recently. So, and the neighbors shouldn't have to worry about what the average lake shore setback is going to be. The city creates creates 3 new lots ultimately. Then that does impact neighbors. I saw a letter of support from one of the neighbors. Another neighbor had some concern that I share.
And I just wonder what kind of Pandora's box we open up by swapping one non-conforming over to a different lot and giving it to somebody else and making that not conforming, or maybe one conforming and change it to the other one. What kind of precedent we set? All sorts of things could happen that I'm just not aware of. I don't think we've ever been asked this before.
Yeah.
Just switch it.
It's goofy.
To make a conforming lot non-conforming and then make another one conforming that wasn't conforming, essentially. What do you guys think? Your thoughts?
Well, that was the question I had, was it went from 2 conforming and 1 non-conforming to 2 conforming.
And one non-conforming, they just kind of just moved the.
Yeah, so I'm not real comfortable with that, and then however this goes into the future is just laying out a plan too, so the neighbors know what the drainage looks like. We all know it has to be contained on the property, but sometimes nature decides other things, and we gotta make sure it stays on the property.
Really what we're being asked is, are we comfortable to take a a lot that is conforming today and make it non-conforming.
Right.
Even though we're making another one go from conforming, we're still taking one that is conforming and adjusting the lot line to make it non-conforming, which we've never made a conforming lot non-conforming. We've never approved that before. And that would be, I'd have a hard time wanting to do that, but that's an odd one, so I've never,
Can I make a couple comments?
Sure.
Do you want me to come back up? So, in response to the conversation about creating an extra lot or not, it sounds like there's maybe a little confusion there.
Well, you still are gonna have 3 lots, we get that.
We're gonna have 3 lots, we're gonna have 3 driveways, we're gonna have 3 houses. And so regardless of any rearranging of lot lines, the runoff into the street, the creation of 3 driveways that's not changed regardless of how we rearrange lot lines. Where you were just going with moving the nonconformity from one lot to another, the nonconformity is width. It will still be a nonconformity of width. There's no way to make them conforming the way they are currently. And so we're rearranging things, but not making it any worse in any way. And you were talking about moving the nonconformity from one lot to another. Would it change your opinion if the nonconformity that is on lot 2, the nonconformity width, remained on lot 2, and lot 2 remained the nonconforming lot in width? We're then just cleaning up what it sounds like there's some agreement in the oddness of the lot line behind the tennis court on lot 1. We could clean that up and not transfer the nonconformity from one to another. Also, I did reference the variance in our packet on wildcards, and I talked to a couple council members about that as well. Don't understand how that is not being seen as taking a conforming situation and making it non-conforming. I read it in detail. I had counsel look at it and legal counsel look at it, and it went from 2 conforming lots to 2 non-conforming lots. And it seems like it's a much more extreme request than what we're asking for here, where it's really a net zero. Nothing is really changing in terms of the number of lots or the quantity of non-conforming lots.
I guess I feel a lot better about it if the conforming lots stay conforming, and we can always do lot line adjustments, right? And the non-conforming would stay non-conforming. Because we can
Well,
only.
that requires a very, no matter what, it's the creation of a new lot.
It isn't, there's 3
It
lots.
is because you can't do an administrative lot line arrangement because you're not a conforming lot. So then it requires a variance process, which means that you're creating, to make that lake lot, you either have to make that one non-conforming or the one next to it non-conforming to do that. Otherwise, administratively, this could be done if it was a conforming lot line rearrangement, which it's not.
I think we can do that now. We changed that rule, right?
You just aren't able to make a new nonconformity or make a nonconformity worse.
But we can do,
So
you
they were
can
able-
administratively do that now. We changed that rule.
Yeah,
As long as we don't make it more non-conforming.
Exactly, that's right. So you are creating, no matter what you do, you're creating a new lot out of this, which means they both have to be in conformance.
I'm not sure.
Without a variance.
Not necessarily. If they're able to not make the nonconformity on lot 2 worse or more extreme, if they're able to maintain the nonconformity by moving that lot line, that's something that administratively we can approve.
Yeah, we changed that a while ago to give them more flexibility, without having people go through the process.
Right, and if it's
As
one
long as
lot
the
line,
non-conformity doesn't get more non-conforming.
and if it's one lot line, it can be done through that process.
Right.
So why didn't they go that way?
This is the way I wanted to propose it.
Only Sven knows that answer.
To what end? I mean, what was the point?
I don't know.
We just felt like it made more sense for the intended use of the properties and being that,
In what way?
the desires of the homeowners. They have the larger lots on the north and the smaller lot on the south, where there's some other encroaching properties and kind of strange view lines.
So I guess if it was me, again, I'd go back to say, keep everything conforming that's supposed to be, and don't make the one that's not non-conforming, not worse non-conforming. And then you don't even need us. Until you bring the housing plan back.
We'll do that. Okay, well, I appreciate the feedback.
But we definitely gotta see if we can take care of some of this drainage when we get to that point, for sure.
We can deal with that.
As the city engineer, that's a normal process the city engineer looks through anyways, as the building project does come in.
We look at that as they bring the building permits themselves.
Yeah, and I was concerned at the last meeting about drainage, because some things were said about how we cause problems for the neighborhood. And I went back and did a little work, and perhaps you could pull up that drainage. It was a drainage comparison, or something. It was Goodwin's house to the north. And I just wanted to see what did we do, because it was a while ago. And we made some pretty good improvements in the amount of water that drained to the lake. The top side there is the home that we had torn down, and the blue is all of the, let's see here. It's been a little while. But I did a comparison of the impervious surface that was draining towards the street and the impervious surface that was draining towards the lake. And we reduced the reduced the drainage towards the street on the Goodwin's home by 1,200 square feet. It was a 19% overall reduction in drainage to the street, and a 63% reduction in impervious surface that was drained to that.
I remember I heard the resident talk about an old drainage tunnel that maybe used to be there or something. I think at the planning commission, I think I heard something about that. So if something's there that we can, unearth and get fixed, that'd be good.
The tunnel is still there. It is still there.
Okay.
You look, you can see it.
We've found tunnels before that we didn't know were there, so we have some of those. So over the years, they just disappear because they get clogged up, and then they just get covered. And
What happened, they raised the Goodwin's lot. Perry's lot was really low, and so there wasn't any water ever coming across the street. But now that the lot is raised and a concrete driveway, I invite you to come over to my house when it's raining.
well, the public works guys would be the guys that want to see it. I
Yeah.
believe exactly what you're saying, that these guys, the public works, the guys who kind of help fix these things and look at the water, so I'd encourage you to follow up with City Administrator Adam over here. We could probably put you in touch with DJ, who, he's back there. Help see if there's any other solutions that we can help figure out for us.
Just one final comment on that. I did send Melanie some pictures of what existed there before. We really didn't raise the house. We increased the grade of the driveway, but the house is really not much on change in elevation from what was there. And as hard as I looked, I could not find any photographs, and Melanie's got a couple of them, that indicated any sort of drainage culvert there.
Well, come look.
I did drive by. There's certainly nothing there.
Driving by won't do it. You have to stop and look.
Well, if you want to learn more about it, I'll reach out to the public works here.
You'll see the tunnel, you see the culvert.
Oh, gotcha, it doesn't.
It went across the street, and
I think you've got your direction, right? I think you've got, there's no motions to make up here today, so there's just more talking about it and feedback, so.
All right, thank you.
Yep, thanks. All right, well, with that, Soren is gone, I don't know if you have any, Jeremy, if you have any other community development report to speak of as well.
Just briefly to capture a couple of things we said earlier, as Ron said, we are exactly even with the number of permits we've issued this year. Where we're a little short is the number of new homes, we're a little bit down. And then the new homes that we have issued, a lot of them are crossing, they're a little bit lower in the value side, so there's definitely comes in, and that will pick some up over the year. Regarding Mr. Levish, the driveway question, again, certainly initiate a code review committee and bring it back. I think it's worthwhile to look into.
I think it's worth looking into, because I don't know the issues of, if you do it, what issues bring about yourself,
So I'll send out an email to that effect. And then just this was done, we did talk a little bit about the septic contractor earlier today, workshopping out, continuing moving forward, trying to get that contract with that contractor. And that's really all I have.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
I know Soren's gone, so we have our fabulous fill-in for him today. And
Yeah, definitely. My name is Leah Cope. For those that don't know, they bring me in, because Soren really wants some experience here.
yeah.
And I don't have anything to report, but it's nice to be here.
All right, good to have you as well. Okay, we'll go down to the city administrator report. We'll go back to number 8, and we took off consent today for the Summer Beach Master Plan.
Mayor, members of council, item number 8 is a council action requesting authorization to initiate a master plan and community outreach project for the Summit Beach Park. The Summit Beach Committee met earlier this spring and asked staff to come up with a consulting solution to a master plan and community outreach. We did solicit a proposal from our engineering and planning assistance consultant, this Bolton Mink, gave us a proposal for that. That proposal was heard by the Parks Commission at their last meeting. The Parks Commission did vote 5-1 to recommend approval of the project. The project is now before you for approval.
All right, so what we've got is a master plan, and I guess master plan really is technically not the real term, so you might want to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, sure, I would love to. So I was hoping Golden Mike would be here because they definitely have a lot more to add to this. So what was proposed really is to actually create a plan that would guide the park for the future. So this would be the living document that would let the community know this is what this park is. Very similar to what we did with Big Island. Digs into all the what you can do, what you can't do. What's different about this one, and it was on purpose, was that after talking to multiple residents, there were 3 things that stuck out in our minds that we really wanted to make sure that we addressed. So the first one is residents wanted to see the process. So how do you get to the end point? So this really lays that out. The second part was they wanted to have due notice. So we did get feedback that these things would come up on the meeting, and they didn't have time to prepare or come. As you see in here, and this is still early, there's lots of work to be done, is that the public input would be throughout the summer in different formats, giving people lots of time to actually share their input. And that ties into the third part, which is the public input. Now, with that, I answered a lot of phone calls today, and what I've told a lot of people is the loudest voice isn't necessarily the only voice. And so some people couldn't make it tonight, and what they wanted to do is make sure that their input would be shared. And so this will provide that opportunity. And I know there was some feedback on why you're spending all this money. I mean, getting people's input is invaluable. And there's not a guarantee that we even have to spend that much. It's approving it. So when the final plan goes through, it's set. There was one thing that I did talk to Rick Carter today about that he asked if we could add to this, is that before we start this project, if we could send out a survey to Orono residents, just to kind of get a baseline and just get some early feedback to put into some of those options that we want to get feedback on. I know there's also discussion about starting with a blank canvas. I actually get feedback the other way, that it's helped to look at something, right? So, and I'm just throwing this out there. It's not about just so we're on the same page, but option 1 could be is what would you think if there was a new dock in there? Instead of a biffy, a toilet that's not a biffy. And people, giving their feedback on that. Maybe they don't like the location of it, they share that. The second one could be looking at a playground. Maybe they want it at a different location. Maybe they want something that is more natural. This allows that opportunity. The other part that Parks asked me to make sure that I shared is that we definitely can put some guardrails on this, right? So, we want public input, but we don't want people to come in and say, level the place and put a building in, right? So that's not in scope. And what I told people too is, this, if we really do feel the public wants a certain thing, this allows the public to say that as many times as they want, and as many public meetings that we have in the summer, and also in a survey that we can actually publish on the website, so. I would say the Parks Commission, this was actually something they contemplated early. For whatever reason, COVID happened and it didn't come to fruition, but it's good to see that they're kind of coming full circle on that.
And we've done that in a number of parks as we've had, the different changes with, let's say, Hackberry, where we bought the house there with the land. We gotta figure out what are we gonna do with all that land. We're taking possibilities. All of a sudden we got the what do you call that, the paddleball people? Pickleball. That comes up, and that's a very different kind of use in wintertime, summertime, indoor, outdoor, all those kind of things. And to be able to put all those options on there, to be able to fulfill all the different things that, Orono was trying to accomplish. And then you can also, then you can start budgeting as well. So if all of a sudden you do need a toilet, we just put 2 in Big Island, they're not cheap. So you can budget for it, it takes time. But it gives you a guiding document, like Victoria said, of what to do in the future with everybody's knowledge of kind of what we're looking at. So with that said, if anybody'd like to come up, in a few minutes, come up and state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Robbie Fullerton, and I am someone who loves the outdoors, loves nature, and I really want to thank you all for trying to take into consideration people's thoughts about Summit Park. It strikes me, not only being involved in this process, that this project has gotten the attention of a lot of people. And so it means a lot to me to hear that you're open to getting people's input on what to do with the park. One of the things that really excited me recently was when I attended the recent Parks Commission meeting, and an idea was put forth, and I don't know if it's been gestating for a while or not, but the idea was before, doing renditions, drawings, different ideas, to just sort of reach out to people and see, if there's any sort of consensus about where to go. And it sounds like that's going to be part of this process. I think you described it as step 3 in the process. And if I could make a suggestion, if I heard the Park Commission people correctly, they were saying that they might start with that, and then based on what comes out of that, then consider maybe spending money to have renditions put up so people can see what a playground would look like or something else. But if someone who believes that natural space is in less quantity moving forward, there's going to be less of it, and being someone who would much rather be up there in the woods than sitting in here, if there's any way it would be possible to sort of rearrange this project so that the survey would be done on the front end and get input from people. And it would just seem to me to be a fair thing to do because, and I don't, excuse me, I'm not going to know all the details because I haven't studied it closely, but from what little I heard, this was, I don't know if this directly was the gift from Restraining or exactly how this worked, but he obviously gave an incredible gift to the Orono residents in the park right across the street that's been expanded and whatnot. And it really appeared to be his intent to try to keep it as natural as possible. And I could just sort of see how if someone walks into a room or goes somewhere and they see all these different renditions up, they might go, well, this one looks really cool because it's got all this stuff. But I worry that what really might be most special for this place is for it to stay incredibly natural. And so if it might be possible to rearrange the agenda a little bit, or, and I don't know if this engineer, and you cut me off if I should go, I don't know if the engineer,
ignore him, he's sarcastic. I will tell you, so my recommendation to addend this would be to put a survey at the front end.
Okay.
So that would be the starting point to kind of get a pulse of the community, and that wasn't called out, so I was glad it was taken off consent, because that was what an adjustment that I was gonna add, that the city could do, like, we could push that out.
And we're not married to any particular, set of agenda 1 through 5. We can move them all around. So we're not married to anything in particular. We just want to get the right information to be able to present, to show everybody kind of what's going on from a public perspective as well as a city perspective, and kind of bring it all together so everybody can have all the information.
Sure. And I think that would be wonderful, because it just seemed like an idea that has momentum and is consistent with what the Park Commission thought would be valuable to do. And if there is a lot of people that love the idea of it staying natural, why spend a bunch of money to come up with different renditions and things? So,
Yeah, I think that's kind of the intent of that survey, is to kind of get that initial feedback from the group, but you are more than welcome to reach out to me. I'm more than willing to go over there, walk over there and talk. I did that this week with some residents, and just hear your thoughts too,
So she do this, so follow up with Victoria for further conversation, and we'll just kind of keep it moving.
no, that would be great. And the last idea would be just to plan. I think gifts like that are so special. We want more of them. I mean, the best thing that could happen to Orono would be if there were 10 deities lined up ready to give us all kinds of beautiful land and make the city even more special. And so how do we manage this process, I think, is something people will be watching. And it would be a bummer to do something that might deter people from trying to make gifts like what the deities made.
for sure. No, thank you.
All right, thank you for your time.
I'm Eleanor Winston, 765 Spring Hill Road, and we completely agree with what Robbie just said. And also want to just stress, having been Bruce Dayton's neighbor for many years, and having seen him buy up properties and eventually give those to the state for Woodrill, he really loved the natural. He loved nature, and I think a lot of people come to that park, even though they no longer live in Orono, just because it's such a nice, quiet, natural park.
We've obviously already done good stuff with the road and all the trails, so we're in the same mindset. We want to make it good and better, and so now it's a matter of what shape does that take.
And actually, I think, unfortunately, I was out of town for Earth Day, but I hear good things about the use of the park for things like that, for kind of along with that nice East Long Lake Trail. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jan Page. I live at 408 Dexter Drive in Long Lake, and I moved there about a year ago. And much of my life I lived like in the urban areas, like in South Minneapolis, where I'd see, bullet, the ends of bullets like in the gutter and stuff. So I really love living in Long Lake. And so about 3 or 4 days ago, I just stopped at Summit Beach because I had some time in between appointments. And it was really amazing because there were 2 young women there laying on the grass and sunbathing, and I don't know what they were talking about because they were talking about another language. And I just thought, wow, this is just amazing. And then before I know it, these 3 young men come across the lake in their kayaks, and they pull up on the beach, and none of them were drinking. And I hate to have to say that that's a big deal, but that was a big deal to me. And today I was driving back from Elk River, and I was like, how lucky am I that I get to live where I drive through, where there's farms on both sides. And so the point I'm trying to make is that I think that this area is really precious, because you know, we can watch on the news the things that are happening because there was too much development in the earth, on the earth, you know. It's not that people had ill will, but I just think that Orono has an opportunity to be on the right side of history here. And I also want to commend the plan and the things that you were talking about, Victoria. I mean, that's really nice to hear because, you know, I was watching the process and all the time I was thinking, you know, it doesn't have to be like this because we really both, everybody really loves Long Lake. And I think everybody really loves Summit Beach. And I was there on Earth Day and it was just beautiful. Everybody's there and there were some ducks out. So I know I'm being a little sappy, but you know, it's really wonderful to be in such a beautiful place. So I just thank you for all of that you do to keep it that way.
Thank you for your.
Thank you. Does anybody else like to come up and talk about this item? Seeing no one, close the discussion, bring it back to the city by motion.
I would like to make a motion to approve the plan with the addition of the survey, a city survey at the beginning that would be co-created with the Parks Commission. I'm sure our person will fix whatever I just said, so it makes sense.
All right, well, that's a motion, do I have a second? Second. Councilmember Johnson, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Well, that passes 4-0, Jackie. Okay, that brings us to number 10, the Public Works Facility, bids 21-039. Adam.
Mayor, members of council, item number 10 is a council action directed at giving approval to reject all bids that we did receive on this project and provide some direction on the way forward. The bids, the low bid for the project came in at just over $18 million. The budget, as you know, in the bond we did was for $13 million. So well over our budget and well over the estimates that we had going into the process. Not surprisingly, the large amount of this is attributed to the current construction environment. Everything we're hearing from municipalities in the same boat are having the same issues. So the design committee did meet after we received bids and came up with a proposed way forward, which in general is to break the project apart into its component parts of the site work, the building, and then the commodities area for the building, and then to look at bidding those perhaps in sequence, but with an eye to watching the current construction pricing that's out there, so we can time those bids, bid solicitations better in the market, what the market hopefully will be in the future. I know the mayor and Matt both on that committee. If there's anything I missed on that plan? I don't think so.
So Barbara, I think took it off consent, so if you wanted to have a comment about that. You can state your name and address for the record again.
Barbara Schmidt, 50 Landmark Drive. I guess there's a lot of confusion about how this is going, and we just, I guess we wanted to know what the process to date on the plans for the Public Works building, like what's the next step? And was there, why did we come in so high, and the original bid was 10 to 13 million, or you wanted it to be that?
Well, the project, I guess we can answer the first couple pretty quick. You know, what the process is, we went through an entire design, months of design with the Public Works facility people, with the architects, with Adam, who obviously knows Public Works pretty well, at the site, and putting it all together, knowing that where we're at currently is surrounded by swamp, so we can't expand or anything. We need a lot more room. And so we have a lot more room to build where we have now. And so we've done that process, and so the next process with all the details, the design, the details, all the way down to how many screws are going in and what kind of machinery, etc., is all done. And so then it's going out for bid. And why is it so high? Well, you can see some of the issues going on in the economy right now, supply chain stuff. I just I can give you an example. In one of my buildings, we had some wind damage, we had to redo some outside siding on a building. And back in October, it was 25,000, and now in March now, we went out to go get the bid to get it done, it was 85,000. Because of those issues, and when you get contractors on a project that's gonna take a year, they have to plan out that they might not be able to get those materials for 3 or 4 months, but they're committing to the price today, so they're projecting huge increases just to cover themselves. And so part of the thought process was, we're gonna break things up, because just the grading alone was a huge number. And if interest rates go up and building starts stopping or slowing down, the first people that are gonna be impacted are the graders. Because if the projects stop, they don't need to go out and grade the dirt, right? And so little by little, we have a little more people that are looking for a little more demand. The supply chain calms down a little bit, then we'll be ready to go do that, because we're not in any hurry, we're not in any need to do it today, so we can wait to get the right price.
So why do you need to do it at all if Orono, I mean, what's the deficit here in this building, I guess?
No, it's not this building, it's not this building. The Public Works facility, which is next door,
Yeah,
like I said, it's surrounded by swamp, and I believe it's what, 25,000 feet? And we need about 40,000 today. So we can't house and do all the things at the same time in that facility. And with all the growing population here, we do a number of cities work as well. To be able to get stuff in place for the next 50 years, we need the room to be able to do that. And this is the one spot in all of Orono, and we happen to own it.
so what other cities do you do the work for?
Well, we do the Public Works for Spring Park.
Okay,
And then we're back up for a number of smaller cities like Minnetonka Beach and Long Lake. If they're short, they call us to come and help them.
okay.
And so we are programmed for long-term contracts like Spring Park, that we do all the Public Works facility. And obviously we have a lot of with roads and all that kind of stuff that we have here in Orono as well that we have to keep on top of. We've got so much work, as an example too, that we have our own mechanic now. Instead of having to bring it to a mechanic shop, we've got so much work, we have our own mechanic now. We can do it in-house, but we need room for that stuff. On top of being able to put all the snow plows in, all the trucks, fueling facilities, which we don't have enough room to do over there. When you have cleanup day and you bring all your appliances in and do all that stuff like we do a couple times a year, they don't have room over there to do it. They got to move a whole bunch of stuff out of the way, and they couldn't do 2 things at once. And we're going to be able to do all that at the same time. So that new site, new building will be, it will take at least a good 50 years out in the future without any problem.
So if I were building a house and I had 13 million and then all of a sudden it was gonna be 18 million, I'd have to go back and shrink the plans or change some things, right?
Potentially, yeah, but we haven't got to that point yet. We know the supply chain and the cost, things are a little upside down. So that's why we're breaking it apart from a strategic point to bid things out separately.
So this motion is to put this on hold.
Okay, I know, but I'm just trying to understand, like, 6 million is a lot.
It is.
So I'm like, how is that gonna change? I mean, it's probably not going to much. I mean, maybe 20%.
Well, when interest rates go up, projects stop happening because people can't afford to do them. When prices double for lumber, people stop building projects, and all of a sudden you get enough projects that have stopped. All of a sudden, people who are doing the grading, for example, say, we need to keep our company busy for the next year, and half of our projects just stopped.
So we're thinking that things are gonna cost less in the future.
Yep.
Okay. Then we were just looking at what the expenditures were, and we were wondering how the architecture firm, and I don't know how to pronounce their name, is it Ortel? Was over 100K to date, and I just was thinking, well, because I've built up a house, and I'm thinking, well, geez, now you're gonna have to go back and revise that. Are you gonna stop for a while, or are you gonna try to redesign what you have so that it would fit within the budget?
We're going to pause right now.
Okay.
We're going to wait a little while.
Okay.
Stuff things kind of cool down, but worst case, we might have to redesign a little bit. But they spend, how many months did we spend in on this so far? 8 months with 4 of them.
And based on our plan we have now too, it can be in several phases, so that's another way to, work with the budget if it doesn't go down like we're hoping.
Okay. just looked enormous, and I was like, wait, how are you gonna do it?
Yeah, just think if your builders out there building houses, they got the same problem, where they committed to building the house, and then all of a sudden the lumber prices doubled. Now who's gotta pay that? The builder, or the person builder, or the homeowner? That's a problem.
Yeah. You want any thoughts? Thank you.
All right, thanks. Any other comments from the public? Okay, seeing none, do I have a motion? Where's Richard when you need him?
Motion to, see what number is this?
It's number 10.
Motion to reject the bids for the, item number 21-39.
Second.
Is that the whole?
Was there a second part?
It was just direct staff consults prepared, and that you just read it.
Yeah,
Do that.
and direct staff and consultants to prepare the bid packages.
I accept that.
Second that? You accept that?
Second, second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, that passes 4-0, Jackie. Okay, Mayor Council report, Councilmember Johnson.
Got nothing.
Councilmember Brenda.
A lot of talk tonight about interest rates and supply chain issues and inflation and cost of living and keeping our open spaces and beautiful Orono, and we're just keeping Orono great.
All set.
So, fortunately, because we have to do, sorry. So one of the residents, brought up that they thought, I don't know if it's true, maybe this week of Parks doing what Lisa's here. They thought there was a program within Hennepin County aimed at buckthorn removal. And I might have been one of your residents removing buckthorn this weekend, who has a thorn in her side, and would love to see any kind of, because it's awful, right? So I was wondering if that's something that Parks or, yeah.
You asked about a grant?
He had said that there's some kind of program, and so I don't love buckthorns.
Doesn't involve goats.
It's, so unfortunately, goats are great, but unfortunately goats can't get the big stuff, which is, the bigger problem, so, so I was asking to make the ask that we could have staff and Parks look into something of that, because it's an awful tree slash bush slash.
So-
Thorny.
So we can sort of look into to see if there's something else, but just, so you do know, we do partner with Hennepin County Corrections, in their Sense to Serve program. So we contract with them every year. The primary thing we do use them for, is buckthorn removal on our public lands and, in our parks, so I guess in a way, we are already partnering with the Hennepin County, but we'll certainly see if there's something else. Also, for anybody who, residents who do their own buckthorn, we do have buckthorn pullers available at City Hall. All people have to do is come sign them out, and they may use them to yank all the buckthorn they want.
Or as my dad's neighbor said, you just have to cut it down and then take a Campbell soup can and put it on there, which looks really great in your yard when you have 50 Campbell soup cans. I don't know why it works. Anyway, I need to converge versus diverge on this. So I would say Parks is obviously interested in that too, so. It just, I don't know, maybe I have some scars on my legs from this weekend, so. That's all I got.
All right, well, I guess I just want to wish all the mothers in the audience that are watching, I hope they had all a great, fabulous Mother's Day. And I know we did, and they ate too much food and plenty of flowers on our counter, so hope you had a fabulous Mother's Day.
I did, we do manual labor Mother's Day. That's the focus. Yes.
All right, well, that's all I got right now, so, get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned, all right.
You can open it all.
Well,